During the past 10 or more years, Isekai became all the rage in the anime, manga and light novels industry, with new titles and some ridiculously long titles if you mind, being released every week. If you clicked this video, I'm assuming you already know what an Isekai is, but if you don't, I will summarize it quickly. Basically, it's a story where the main character, or a group of characters, is transported to another world. Usually through some mystic portal, or, as it became a trend recently, being run over by Truck-kun. Although this became a trend after around 2010, this is not by any means a new idea. There are older titles like El Hazard or even Digimon that followed a similar premise. Depending on how freely you interpret this idea, even classic literature like Alice in Wonderland can be considered an isekai. Anyway, it's only natural that something like this would also appear in video games. I'm here today to talk about 5 old games that can be considered isekai, even though they came before the uprise of the genre. Something worth mentioning is that older isekai usually follow the journey of the main character trying to go back to their own world, while recent isekai is usually about a character somehow becoming powerful in the new world and staying there. Talk about power fantasy. Anyway, let's go. The first game in this list is Brave Story: New Traveler, released exclusively for PSP in 2006. This is a neat little JRPG based on a novel written by Miyuki Miyabe, which was also adapted to an anime film, but this serves more as a side story, mostly independent from the original novel, with an original cast and an entirely different plot. It tells the story of a boy who's addicted to his PSP and doesn't give enough attention to his friend, Miki, until she gets mysteriously sick and he's transported to a magical world, where he's told that he has the chance to fulfill a wish and save her if he gets to the end of the journey. It's a fun and classic turn-based JRPG with everything you would expect of it. World map, towns with new equipments, a recurrent minigame. It may not be a life-changing experience, but it's a fun game nonetheless with some nice twists to the story and one of the dumbest motivations I've ever seen in a villain. Oh, and the main character dog is named Kratos. That's not important, but I just wanted to mention it. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, released exclusively for the Game Boy Advance in 2003. The long-awaited sequel to the cult classic Final Fantasy Tactics. This game disappointed a lot of people back then for being so different from its predecessor, but ultimately it earned a cult following and became a cult classic by itself. Part of what made it so different is precisely the fact that it's an isekai. The game starts on a modern-day town called St. Ivalice, where a few kids are having a snowball fight. After that, the main characters head inside and talk about a mysterious book. This mysterious book ends up transporting them to its own magical world, Ivalice, which is, naturally, the same Ivalice from the other games like Final Fantasy XII, Vagrant Story and, of course, the original Final Fantasy Tactics. There, the main character, March, starts his journey to find his friends and try to go back to the real world. It had beautiful visuals for the Game Boy Advance and featured a number of different systems, among them the Judge and Law systems, which is also part of the reason a lot of people frowned upon this game. Oh, and it also received a sequel in 2007, Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Grimoire of the Rift, for the Nintendo DS. I admit that I haven't played this one yet, it's in my backlog for many years now, but maybe one day. Eternal Sonata, released for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 in 2007. This is a very interesting game and one of the first JRPGs released for that generation of consoles. Personally, I loved it when I played this game back in 2008 or 2009, I don't remember exactly. It was very different from everything we had, both in terms of setting and combat system. Not only the premise itself is very isekai-ish, but also very creative. It features real-life musician Frédéric Chopin on his deathbed, traveling through a fantasy world in his final dream. This also implies playing as Chopin himself, along with a party of other characters that will accompany him through his journey in this fantasy world. It's sad that we never got any remaster or literally anything else about this game almost 20 years later. It had its share of fans back then, but unfortunately not many people talk about it anymore. I have many fond memories of it. It was my first Xbox 360 game and also the first game I got 100% of the achievements. Dot Hack, released originally for PlayStation 2 in 2002. Dot Hack was an ambitious project that was way ahead of its time when it was first released. This was one of the first early attempts at a multimedia franchise, spawning not only a quadrilogy of games, but also a tie-in anime, manga, novels and a lot of other stuff. The premise here is one that would become common a few years later, but Dot Hack could almost be considered the father of all isekais that embraced this idea, and that is people getting stuck on an MMORPG world. Dot Hack premise is that due to some strange happenings, people playing this MMO called The World are falling into a coma in the real life while their consciousness gets stuck inside their characters inside their game. The first 4 games, Infection, Mutation, Outbreak and Quarantine, are totally interconnected and direct sequels to each other. They are all really rough around the edges in terms of gameplay, so it's totally understandable if someone really can't get into them because of this. But plot-wise, they are very good, and the character design is made by Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, the same guy from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Later on, the series received a new trilogy, Dot Hack GU, which became a lot more popular and features a way more polished version of the gameplay. All of these games were released for PS2, but the GU trilogy received an HD remaster a couple of years ago with new content. If you're into this kind of story, it's totally recommended. Secret of Evermore, released for the SNES in 1995. This is probably the most unexpected in this list. Not only it's really old, but it's also made in the West instead of being Japanese. It tells the story of a boy and his dog being transported from Podunk, a fictional city in the USA, to a strange world through a portal created by a scientist. The entire game revolves around the boy and his dog exploring this strange world to find a way to go back to Podunk. It looks and plays a lot like Secret of Mana. In fact, I intend to make a video about this game soon, seeing that it's quite a curious case from Squaresoft in the 90s. Overall, it's a weird and fun game and probably worth a try if you can emulate it. It's probably really rare nowadays, so I don't think you'll find it to buy anywhere. At least not in an affordable price. So, that's it for these 5 games. Have you played all of them? What's your opinion on Isekai? Do you prefer the old school take or the modern take on the genre? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. See you next time!